At the beginning of the story, we see our main character, Takeru, who's just an ordinary guy. Every day he has to go to the office, work long hours, and then head back home. He starts saying that his life feels extremely boring. He goes to the same place to work, does the same tasks, comes back the same way. Everything in his ordinary life feels repetitive. He wishes his life were at least a little exciting. Right after saying this, Takeru turns on his TV, and suddenly he's transported to a completely different place. In front of him sits a man, and Takeru is shocked. He asks, "Who are you?" The man replies that he's the one who watches over the solar system, and Takeru can consider him a god. He manages the entire universe. He explains that no matter how hard he tries, the planet called Medius keeps collapsing. Its civilization is falling apart, and the situation is getting worse. That's why he needs to interfere directly now. He tells Takeru that he'll be sending him to that world so it can change for the better. Hearing this, Takeru is stunned. He asks how the god can just drop such a huge bombshell on him, but the god explains that Takeru doesn't have any other choice. He's already dead. If he refuses to go to this new world, his soul will simply disappear. But he doesn't need to worry. He won't be sent empty-handed. The god will give him gifts, special abilities. The god grants Takeru the power to use magic and asks if he wants anything else. Takeru says he wants a cute partner. The god notes that request and tells him he'll meet his partner when the time is right. He also boosts Takeru's scouting skills so he can collect materials and sell them for money. The god gives him a handy bag to store everything, teaches him the language of the new world, and grants him several resistances. After doing all this, the god realizes he may have given Takeru a bit too much power. Before Takeru can say anything, he disappears from that place and wakes up in his new body. He finds himself in a deep forest and decides the first thing he needs is to find a place where people actually live, like a village. After walking for a long time, he finally spots a village. But he then realizes he has no money. Without money, no one will let him stay there, so he decides to earn some first. He remembers the god telling him that collecting materials and selling them would give him money. So Takeru tries activating his scouting magic, but nothing happens. Embarrassed, he wonders why his power didn't activate. He tries another word, search, and this time his power finally activates. The search skill shows him where all the materials are located. Takeru now understands that the magic depends on the specific activation word. He tries other words like check, investigate, and scan. When he says scan, he can actually read the details of each material. His first material is a B-rank item. Soon he gathers everything he can find, though most of it turns out to be low rank. After collecting a large amount, he finally reaches the village. A guard stops him and asks if he's a warrior or a swordsman because of his tall height. Takeru says he's just there to sell materials. The guard introduces himself as Merlo and tells him that the village is called Tormi. He directs Takeru to a shop where he can sell everything. People stare at Takeru because of how tall he is. He reaches the shop and shows the shopkeeper the first material, a B-rank monster drop. The shopkeeper is shocked and offers him 5 silver coins for it. Takeru asks how much that actually is, and whether it's enough for a room at the inn. The shopkeeper explains that 1 night costs 500, and 1 silver coin equals 1,000. Takeru does the math and realizes his item is worth 30,000. He sells the item and shows the shopkeeper the rest of what he found. The shopkeeper is impressed and tells him he has a job for him. If Takeru can go to the eastern mountains and gather mithril ore, he'll pay him 2 million, but he warns him that the mountains are full of monsters. Later, Takeru gets a room at an inn. The staff brings him warm water, and he's confused about what to do with it. She explains that he's supposed to clean himself with it. He asks where the bath is, but she tells him there is no bath unless someone is a noble. Hearing this, Takeru becomes depressed. He's exhausted and wants a proper bath. She mentions that some mages can clean people with magic, but none live in this village. So an idea strikes him. After she leaves, Takeru decides to try using magic himself. He says clean, and the spell activates, washing him thoroughly with water. The next day, Takeru continues exploring. He finds a dead skeleton on the ground, someone who was clearly a security guard. He thinks the person must have died in a fight. Near the skeleton, he finds a family charm with a letter inside, written by the guard's sister. Feeling bad, Takeru buries the skeleton properly and lets him rest in peace. As night approaches, he draws a circle on the ground and activates a barrier around himself. Sitting inside it, he cooks his food and enjoys a peaceful meal. After that, Takeru arrives at the White Tree Forest. This place is also known as the Forest of Ancient Dragons. It's considered a danger zone where monsters often attack. Takeru starts collecting tons of materials there. He's so excited that he keeps running ahead, but suddenly he slips and falls into a ravine. He gets scared for a moment, but then he uses fly. Thanks to that, he lands safely. After reaching the bottom, he finds even more materials and collects them, but he still hasn't found any mithril. When he uses search, he realizes one ore vein is buried much deeper, so he uses magic to blast the area open and finally finds the ore. After that, he continues deeper, looking for more. But then, out of nowhere, he discovers glowing water. When he scans it, he finds out it's magic water from an ancient dragon's home, and it's double S rank. Takeru decides to collect it. He's in the middle of doing that when suddenly a massive dragon appears right in front of him. The dragon asks, "Who are you? How dare you disturb my sleep?" Even after seeing such a huge dragon, Takeru doesn't panic. He simply apologizes for entering without permission. The dragon is surprised and asks who he is. Takeru tells him his name and that he's a human. The dragon says he senses an enormous amount of magic coming from him, magic as strong as his own. Takeru asks if he's an ancient dragon. The dragon confirms this and says his name is Valadius. Then he says he wants to test Takeru's power. With that strength, he might be able to revive his child. Because of all the mana in this place, the egg hasn't been able to hatch. Valadius asks for Takeru's help and promises to reward him with magic mithril ore. Then he hands Takeru the egg. Takeru gets confused and asks what he's supposed to do with it. Valadius tells him to pour his magic into the egg. Takeru agrees and begins channeling his magic, but the egg suddenly starts draining a huge amount of mana from him. Takeru struggles, realizing he might die. Valadius laughs while watching him, making Takeru panic even more. Just when he thinks he's done for, Takeru suddenly finds himself in a completely different place. A god is standing in front of him, but he looks different from the one he met earlier. This god tells him he's too careless. Normally when people see a dragon, they faint or run for their lives. But Takeru didn't do that. By acting like this, he has changed the laws of the world itself. The god says he had been trying for thousands of years to bring change to this world, but Takeru managed to create change almost immediately. It seems the other god gave him incredibly powerful blessings. Then he reminds Takeru that he asked for a cute partner. He'll get her soon, but she's also going to be a big problem for him. In the next moment, Takeru wakes up. He sees the egg has finally hatched. A baby dragon crawls out and immediately hugs him. Valadius tells Takeru to name the child. Takeru thinks for a moment and names him B. B likes the name, and Valadius agrees it suits him. Valadius then tells B to go explore the world. B joins Takeru's party. Takeru is shocked and asks Valadius why he's sending his son with him. Valadius says he trusts Takeru because his power is even greater than his own. After placing a special enchantment on Takeru's bag, he leaves. B then gives Takeru the mithril ore as promised. Takeru asks if B wants to join him on his journey collecting materials. B says yes. Takeru agrees but says they need to clean up first. He uses his magic to clean B. They both leave the cave. Since night is approaching, Takeru decides to camp nearby. We then learn that Valadius connected Takeru's bag to the underground lake, so he can take the magic water anytime. He gives B the water since it's important for B's growth. At B's request, Takeru drinks some too. Takeru explains that he bought an encyclopedia earlier, and that magic stones are incredibly valuable, but he discovers he can actually create magic stones with his bare hands. Later, he cooks the same meal he made before. B tastes it and loves it, hugging Takeru out of excitement. Takeru checks B's stats and sees that even though he's a B-rank dragon with many skills, he's still just a child who needs to learn properly. He warns B not to do anything reckless. The next day, they continue their journey. Takeru returns to the same forest he visited the previous night. It doesn't look nearly as scary during the day. He starts collecting more materials, but suddenly B gets scared and hides behind him because several monsters appear. Takeru prepares to fight, but then a rock falcon, a C-rank monster, swoops in behind the others. Takeru creates a barrier and launches ice attacks, easily defeating the falcon. Then several serpent wolves, also C-rank, jump out of the bushes. They attack, but Takeru lightens his body to dodge their strikes, then hardens his body and defeats them all with ease. He begins collecting their meat. Just then, they notice even more monsters approaching. B panics and tries to fly Takeru away, but he can't hold him properly. so Takeru lightens himself again, and they shoot up into the air. But B suddenly loses grip and drops him. Fortunately, Takeru falls right near the place where they camped the night before. That means returning to the village will be easy. They start heading back. Takeru is holding a tree branch he found. B asks what it is, and Takeru explains it came from his bag. It's a branch of the famous tree Yggdrasil. B channels a bit of mana into it, and the branch transforms into a magic staff. Suddenly, B hears something and runs into the forest. Takeru follows him and finds an elf girl sitting there. He wonders if she was attacked by monsters. She says no, she hasn't eaten anything for 3 days and needs water. Takeru gives her some to drink, but then she says she's hungry again. That's when Takeru remembers the innkeeper packed him a lunch. Takeru hands it to her, and she really likes the lunch a lot. Seeing that she's okay now, Takeru asks, "Tell me something. The village isn't even that far from here, so how are you out here without any food?" The girl replies that she was in a hurry. Takeru says, "Even if you were in a hurry, you could have at least packed some basic rations. That's just common sense." Hearing that, the elf girl gets a little annoyed. She's about to explain her reason, but then Takeru notices a really strong smell coming from her. Seeing his reaction, the elf gets angry and says, "Fine, if that's how it is, I'm leaving. I'm in a hurry anyway." Saying that, she runs off. In the next scene, Takeru gathers more materials from the forest and finally comes out to the road. Just then, he sees a horse carriage approaching. The people in it are surprised to see him there and ask, "Where are you headed?" He says, "I'm going to Tormi village." Hearing this, they tell him that walking that far is pretty tough. They ask, "Are you a mage?" He replies, No, I just collect materials and sell them." The man says that's pretty rare. Then he adds, "If you're going to Tormi village, come with us. We're headed there too." Takeru agrees and hops in. Inside the carriage, he notices 2 kids who quickly become friends with him. Takeru asks them, "Why did you guys help me? What if I had been some kind of thug? What would you have done then?" They tell him that they would have known because they have an item that warns them when danger is nearby. Hearing that, Takeru thinks he should make an item like that too. He introduces himself and they introduce themselves as well. The lady says, "My name is Eliza, this girl is Yunon, this girl is Ken, and that man is Poron." Suddenly, they all hear B's sound. Yunon asks him to show them what it is. Takeru says he's not sure if he should because the monster is extremely rare. Eliza tells him that monsters aren't that rare, and adventurers often keep them with them. So Takeru agrees and shows them B. He tells them it's a baby black dragon, but he doesn't tell them it's actually an ancient dragon. They're shocked and say, "This is a dragon. Does that mean you're a Dragonite?" Takeru quickly says no, and explains he just found the dragon egg. Hearing that, they're even more surprised and say they've never heard of such a thing. Takeru then asks, "Does that mean dragons really are rare?" Eliza answers yes, and that Dragonites are rarely seen, but seeing a real dragon is even rarer. By night, they stop somewhere to camp. Takeru cooks dinner for everyone. They absolutely love the food. Poron likes it so much he almost starts crying. After that, they all have fun together, dancing, singing, enjoying the night. Seeing this, Takeru feels really happy, because he's finally experiencing a night of joy he never got to enjoy back on Earth. They eventually fall asleep, wake up the next morning, and prepare to leave again. This time, Takeru drives the carriage, and finally they reach the village. Everyone says goodbye and leaves. Seeing Poron, Merlo says, "If Poron is back, that means spring is coming too." He clarifies that he's talking about the season, not a girl named Spring. Takeru asks what Poron actually does, and Merlo explains that during winter, Poron travels to warmer places and works there weaving clothes to earn money. After that, Takeru returns to the shop where Jeremy begins checking all of Takeru's materials. Takeru also shows him the Mistral ore, along with the Mistral magic ore. Jeremy is shocked when he sees it and asks, "Where in the world did you get this? These are the kind of things you only read about in stories. They're so valuable that just a few pieces can replace magic stones for the entire kingdom." Takeru is stunned to hear how powerful the ore actually is. He says he just happened to find them. Jeremy then tells him, "You really don't know anything about common sense in this world, do you? It would be better if you go to Belkown. It's a city much bigger than this village. You'll find an adventurers guild there, and you'll get plenty of information. You'll understand how this world really works. You can also sell your materials there." Takeru agrees with him. In the next scene, Takeru goes back to his room and starts researching what a guild actually is. After learning a lot about guilds, he says, "I'm really lucky to have come to this world. I want to travel. I want to see things I've never seen before. And if I become an adventurer, I'll be able to earn money and travel at the same time. He decides that he'll go to Belkame and join the guild, but he still has a lot to do in the village first, so he'll go later. After that, he cuts up the falcon and shares all the meat with the entire village, and they end up having a small celebration. The same girl who cut the falcon prepares soup stock powder from its bones. The lady then says, "When you leave tomorrow, this place is going to feel really empty without you. The villagers want you to stay a little longer." But Takeru says, "I'm sorry, but there are so many things out there in the world that I want to see." She says, "All right, but take this with you," and gives him a lunch pack. She gives him a lot of lunch. In the next scene, Takeru returns to his room. He realizes that Jeremy won't buy this magical mithril ore because it's way too valuable. Takeru thinks that maybe he should use it himself somehow. He says that this village has helped him so much, so he wants to turn this ore into something that will benefit the village. He looks at the lantern and wonders if he can combine it with the ore. He tries it, and the item is created perfectly. Light is extremely happy to see that the tool they wanted has finally been completed. In the following scene, it's time for Takeru to leave. Everyone has come to say goodbye. He hands the magic tool to Merlo and says that he made it. This item will create a barrier around the entire village. No monster or bandit will be able to enter. Merlo is shocked and asks if he's sure he wants to give them something so valuable. Takeru says that this is his way of saying thank you, and that he wants them to be safe until he returns. Jeremy realizes that Takeru used the mithril ore to build this tool. He tries to talk to him about it, but Takeru runs away before he can say anything. Takeru continues his journey toward Belkheim. On the way, he sees a huge crab with a C rank, and it's edible. As soon as he hears that, Takeru gets ready to fight it. But before he can attack, B knocks the crab out instantly. 2 more crabs appear, but they defeat those easily as well. Night falls, and they camp there, cooking and eating the crab. After traveling for a long time, they finally reached the commercial city of Belkin in the kingdom of Algerio. When scanning the area, Takeru learns that this city has the biggest guild on the continent. Before entering the city, an inspection is taking place. The guards check him and say that it's rare to see a gatherer. They ask if he's here to sell materials. Takeru says no, he actually wants to join the guild. The guard agrees, but says he first needs to use Avers on him. Avers is a magic spell used to check if someone is a good person or a criminal. The guard checks Takeru but finds nothing suspicious. Takeru starts wondering if other people can see his real stats. He tries scanning the guard back and sees that his own stats look normal. He assumes the extra skills the god gave him probably can't be detected by others. But then the guard asks why he has the blessing of the dragon. So Takeru shows him B and explains that he has a dragon as his partner. The guard asks for proof, so Takeru puts on the charm that the village kids made for him. B becomes very happy seeing it. The guard then says he'll inform the mayor that a dragon entered the city. They direct Takeru toward the guild and welcome him to Belkheim. Inside, he gets excited seeing all kinds of people. He heads straight to the guild registration desk, where the receptionist, Ariana, welcomes him. She asks him to fill out a form, and he writes that he's a material gatherer. Ariana asks if he has any combat experience. Takeru says yes. A little like defeating a huge bird, wolves with snake tails, and a giant crab. Ariana asks if he has proof. He says yes and pulls the giant crab out of his bag. It's so heavy that the table breaks. Everyone around is shocked. Takeru asks if that's enough proof. The guildmaster sees everything and notices that Takeru also has an item box. He becomes suspicious and uses Avers on him. He finds out that Takeru is telling the truth and isn't a bad person. He asks Takeru if he has any other party members he wants to register with. Takeru says yes. B is his partner. Everyone is stunned that a gatherer has a dragon partner. All the adventurers start thinking that if Takeru joined their party, they would benefit a lot. They try to approach him, but Ariana stops everyone and takes Takeru to another room to complete his registration. She gives him a guild card that looks like a bracelet and explains that he'll start at rank F and slowly rise. In the next scene, Takeru visits the house of the soldier he found earlier in the forest. We learn that before coming to the village, Takeru asked the guards for the soldier's home address. He discovers that the soldier was working to buy medicine for his sick father. When Takeru sees that the father is really ill, he gets an idea. Sometime later, we see Takeru bringing high-quality materials to a client at the guild. Ariana arrives and tells him that he has received a lot of job requests. He knows he can't accept all of them, so he picks a few. Later, he goes to the hot springs. He remembers that it's been 1.5 months since he came to Belkheim. When he first arrived, the water here was really dirty, so he used his cleaning power to purify it. Now he relaxes in the warm water, enjoying the break. Clay arrives at the hot spring. He rarely comes here. We learn that Takeru used his healing power to cure the soldier's father. Clay asks if he can use healing magic, but Takeru says he just copied someone else. Clay also tells him he's received a notice allowing him to rank up, so why hasn't he done it yet? Takeru says he doesn't want extra attention. Back at the guild, a staff member gives Takeru his reward for completing a job and encourages him to rank up because it would benefit the guild too. But Takeru refuses, saying he enjoys doing low-rank jobs and it keeps unwanted attention away. He simply wants a peaceful life. Suddenly, someone rushes in, saying goblins are attacking. All adventurers prepare for battle. The head adventurer orders all D-rank and higher adventurers to gather at the North Station. He also calls for all healing mages and doctors. He asks if there are any A-rank adventurers in the city. Muesli says only Clay is available right now. Hearing all this, Takeru thinks his rank is only F, so this has nothing to do with him. He starts leaving, but the head adventurer stops him and says, "You're coming with us too." So now, even though he doesn't want to, Takeru has no other choice but to follow his orders. In the next scene, that same guy gathers everyone together and tells them that the southwest Stevlo Plains will be the front line. That's where the goblins will come from to reach Belkame. They have to stop them from crossing the bridge. Hearing that, all the adventurers shout with excitement. Watching their enthusiasm, Takeru thinks that these people are insanely pumped up. There's no way he can keep up with them. Seeing him so scared, a few adventurers tell him that since he's an F rank, he should try not to get in their way. After saying that, they start making fun of him. But then that same man walks over. He looks at Takeru and says, "You're that gatherer everyone's been talking about, right? I've heard a lot of good things about you from the guildmaster." He explains that the guildmaster rarely praises anyone like this. After saying that, he stares at Takeru seriously. Takeru just smiles back at him, and seeing that, the man gets surprised and says that Takeru is interesting. He says Takeru is probably the first person who didn't get intimidated by his presence. He tells Takeru that even though he doesn't look like it, he believes he can handle himself just fine. He knows Takeru can protect himself, so he should protect whatever it is he wants to protect. After saying that, he walks away and tells Muesli that the rest is up to her. Muesli apologizes to Takeru for the guildmaster's behavior. This is when we realize that the man from earlier wasn't the guildmaster. This guy is. In the next scene, they all reach their destination. That's when Muesli spots a monster and gets terrified. She even starts crying. Takeru calms her down and reminds her that this is a battlefield. She can use healing magic, so she doesn't need to fight. She should focus on helping people heal. He tells her that being scared like this is normal and she shouldn't be ashamed of feeling fear. People fight because they're scared. They fight because they want to survive. She also has the power to survive, so she should use it. After hearing this, Muesli feels a bit motivated and says she'll do whatever she can. Then she leaves. We see that Clay was listening to all of this. Clay tells Takeru that he's quite a passionate person. Takeru asks him why he's here when he should be on the front line. Clay says his old wound has been hurting badly today. Takeru says he already noticed and asks if the pain comes from the scars on his back. Clay says yes, but to a warrior that scar is like a badge of shame. A wound on the back usually implies he got it while running away. But Takeru tells him that he knows Clay got that injury while protecting someone. If he survived even after taking such a massive wound, it means he's strong enough to protect others too. So why should he feel ashamed? Hearing this makes Clay genuinely happy. Suddenly, they see that the goblins have broken through the front line and reached their area. Clay decides to move forward. Takeru tries stopping him, reminding him of the pain, but Clay says that even if his body breaks, he'll still protect Takeru and everyone else. Then he runs off to fight. Takeru notices that Muesli is healing everyone, and she's no longer scared. Seeing that, he realizes he can't just sit around doing nothing. So he casts a magic shield around that area to protect the people there and heads out to find Clay. The scene shifts to the battlefield where two adventurers are struggling to handle a huge number of goblins. Some goblins get past them and start heading toward Belkame. That's when Takeru arrives. He hardens his arm and starts taking down goblins instantly. Then B uses his lightning power to wipe out the rest. When Takeru asks the adventurers how the monsters made it this far, they reveal that a high-ranking monster, a goblin sergeant, showed up. Because of that, the front line collapsed. They say they only escaped because of Clay. Next, we see Clay himself fighting a huge crowd of goblins, but he's reaching his limit. The goblins get ready to finish him off, but B shows up and destroys them with lightning. Seeing Takeru, Clay asks what he's doing there. Takeru says his condition isn't good enough to keep fighting, and his wound is hurting too much. He tells Clay they should retreat, regroup, and plan a counterattack. He says B and he can still fight, so Clay should relax. But Clay says no. Even if they run, the goblins will catch them. That's when the goblin sergeant appears and attacks them. More goblins surround them, forcing them to fight. During the battle, Takeru asks Clay if that wound on his back means something important to him, and why he never healed it. Clay says he hates that scar. It reminds him of a mistake he made. So Takeru tells him that if he hates the scar so much, he'll erase it. He takes out a flask of magic water from his bag and pours it on Clay's back, and then he uses his power to heal it completely. Clay's injury heals, but then he transforms and becomes far stronger than before. Now he easily destroys the enemies. Later, when the guildmaster arrives, he asks Takeru if he was the one who awakened Clay's power. Takeru says he only used some healing magic, but the guildmaster says that's not totally true. He heard Takeru cast a pretty strong spell on Clay. He asks who Takeru really is. Takeru simply says he's just a normal F-rank adventurer who gathers materials. The guildmaster finds that suspicious, but lets it go and says the guild will reward him for his actions. That night, Clay is back to normal. He asks Takeru what he did to give him so much power. Takeru explains that he just used magic element water and cast a spell called Retifulias. He says that the water came from an underground lake connected to the home of an ancient dragon. Hearing this, Clay is shocked and asks, "Ancient dragon? Who is that?" Takeru explains that they're B's parents. After hearing this, Clay becomes even more surprised and asks Takeru why he poured that water on him in the first place. Takeru says he thought doing that would speed up his healing. Clay then says, "So that means you can use advanced healing spells too?" Takeru replies that he was only copying what he had seen before. Apparently, healing magic becomes far more effective when he imagines the body's composition. It worked because he already knew that the important nerves are concentrated inside the back. Hearing all this, Clay becomes completely shocked and asks Takeru to tell the truth about who he really is. Takeru starts thinking hard about what he should do. God never told him that he can't reveal his identity, but if the truth comes out, he won't be able to live a normal life anymore. At the same time, he feels guilty because Clay's appearance changed because of him. Thinking about all of this stresses Takeru out. Seeing him troubled, Clay says he doesn't have to tell him anything if it makes him uncomfortable, and apologizes for forcing him. After saying that, Clay begins to leave, but Takeru stops him and says that he trusts him, and that's why he will tell him. He explains that he's from another world. Clay is shocked again and asks if he means he reincarnated. Takeru tells him yes, he already died once and was reborn inside this body. Then we see Takeru explain everything about how he arrived in this world. Clay doesn't fully believe the story, but he admits that Takeru healed his old injury and turned him into a dragon newt, so maybe it's true. Takeru asks what a dragon newt is. Clay explains that it's the ancestral species of lizard men, meaning their ancestors used to have this form. He says he's proud to have awakened this form, but he's afraid that whenever he transforms, he might lose control and destroy everything around him. Takeru tells him not to worry. He believes Clay will eventually learn how to control this form, but Clay tells him that things don't work like that, and that Takeru is extremely careless. Clay says he's been wanting to tell him this for a long time, that Takeru knows nothing about this world, so he tells him to sit down with him today, and he'll teach him everything. In the next scene, we see Takeru entering the craftsman district to buy something. He arrives at the shop of a legendary blacksmith. In front of the shop, he meets a girl named Rebil, who asks him what he needs. He tells her that he wants to buy scissors because he needs them for gathering materials. Hearing this, Rebil asks if he's the same gatherer everyone has been talking about. He says yes, his name is Takeru. Rebil becomes excited and says it's nice to meet him. She tells him her master, Grusus, can help him. He is a top-class blacksmith. But there's one item Grusus needs, and Takeru has to bring that item first. Takeru agrees, and then they go inside the shop. There, he sees the blacksmith working. Seeing the craftsmanship, Takeru says that the work is truly amazing. Rebil agrees and says that one day she will learn Grusus's techniques and forge a sword for a hero. After that, they go to meet Grusus. The moment Grusus sees Takeru, he realizes that Takeru is the famous material gatherer everyone has been talking about. Ribyl then speaks to her grandmother and says she was thinking that Takiru could bring Idra Orb for them, so they could forge a sword and participate in the craftsman exhibition. But her grandmother immediately refuses, saying that Idra Ore is found inside the Ruhai mine, and for a gatherer, going there is extremely dangerous. Ribyl tries to push the idea and says they should at least ask him once, but her grandfather still refuses. He explains that the Ruhai mine is filled with monsters, and according to rumors, there are even demons inside. Hearing this, Ribyl adds that she heard the supply of Idra Ore has dropped because of those demons. She apologizes she mentioned this to Takiru earlier. Her grandmother scolds her and says she doesn't value life at all, and that she no longer even deserves to hold a hammer. She says she appreciates Ribyl for bringing Takiru there, but that doesn't mean they would send him to his death just because they are desperate to win the exhibition. And after hearing this, Ribyl realizes her mistake and apologizes to Takiru, telling him to forget everything they discussed. But after listening to all of this, Takiru speaks to her grandfather and asks if the ore they need really is inside the Ruhai mine. He then says that if he brings back the ore safely, would they make special equipment for him as a reward, items that only he can use. The grandfather is shocked and asks if Takiru didn't hear what he just said about the monsters. Takiru calmly tells him not to worry, and that whatever is down there, he can handle it. After saying that, Takiru places a piece of the giant crab monster on the table. Seeing this, the grandfather is stunned and says that even B-rank adventurers struggle to defeat that monster. Takiru replies that it wasn't difficult for him at all, and asks them to let him take the job because he can bring the ore back. Hearing this, the grandfather finally agrees. In the next scene, Takiru sets out for the Ruhai mine. Before reaching it, they have to pass through Buira village, which they manage without any trouble. Along the way, Takiru notices that there are two other people riding on the same carriage. They start talking about how strange things have been happening lately. They mention that the poisonous herbs near Robbery Pass suddenly withered overnight, and that there have been strange disturbances in the White Tree Forest as well. Hearing this, Takiru starts wondering if all of this might somehow be his fault. But then he quickly shakes the thought away, telling himself that there's no way that could be true. After that, Takiru finally comes down there. Once he lands, he notices a horse trader's house nearby. Seeing it, he starts thinking to himself how nice it would be if he had a horse too, something he could ride while traveling. Just then, he suddenly hears the voice of the same elf. She is talking to the horse trader and says that she wants a white horse, not a bird. The man replies that for them this creature counts as a horse because it can carry luggage. But if she truly wants a white horse, meaning a white Pegasus, then she should go to Vorial, which is the dwarf kingdom. The girl agrees with him. She is also feeling very hungry now, so she leaves the place. Hearing all this, Takiru thinks to himself that she is heading to the same place as them. Before moving forward, Takiru enters a forest. There, he starts collecting various materials. Suddenly, he sees the same elf again. She looks hungry and thirsty. Takiru decides to help her and gives her water and food, but even after that, he notices a bad smell coming from her. So he uses cleanse magic and completely cleans her. Seeing this, the girl becomes very happy. She then introduces herself and tells him her name is Vel. She says that whenever someone helps an elf, elves always return the favor. She offers to help Takiru with his work. Takiru agrees and says that they will take her help at least until they reach the next town. After that, all of them gather a lot of items in the forest together. Night starts approaching, and Vel says she will go collect firewood. Takiru tells her that it's not necessary because he has magic stones to light a fire. But Vel explains that if they use real firewood and make a proper campfire, other adventurers passing by will know that this is a safe camping spot and can use it as well. Takiru realizes she is right and praises her for her smart thinking. Vel then goes into the forest, but instead of bringing firewood, she comes back carrying an entire chunk of a tree. Takiru looks confused and tells her that they only needed firewood. Vel tells him not to worry. She throws the large piece of wood into the air, pulls out her knife, and unleashes multiple attacks on it. In seconds, the tree chunk breaks into many small pieces of firewood, perfect for starting a fire. Takiru notices that the sword Vel is carrying is an A-rank weapon. In the next scene, Takiru cooks a meal. Vel loves the food and praises his cooking. She then asks him if he is also going to Vorial. Takiru replies that he's going there because he got a job. He needs to collect Idra ore. He then asks her what she is going to do. Vel says that she is searching for the Heaven's White Pegasus. Her sister, Huvertikara, has been waiting for it for a long time. After finishing the meal, Takiru tells her that since he has taken her help again, he should do something in return. Vel agrees. Takeru then suggests hiring her as his bodyguard. He also tells her that he wants to learn the technique she used to cut the wood so skillfully. Vel accepts his offer and agrees to become his bodyguard. Later, it's time to sleep. Bee and Vel snore so loudly that Takeru can't sleep at all. The next morning, they continue their journey, but Takeru has no energy left. Dark circles appear under his eyes because he couldn't sleep all night. Soon they reach a river. Once they cross it, they will enter the Dwarf Kingdom and reach the Ryohi Mountains. After entering the kingdom, they first go to a restaurant and eat a special dwarf dish, which tastes amazing. Vel says that her friend also told her how delicious it was. She mentions that her friend is a legend man. Hearing this, Takeru is surprised and says that he also knows a legend man. Vel explains that her friend is an honorary dragon king and a holy dragon knight of the Stolfus Empire. She says he mentioned going to Belkheim, so Takeru might have already met him. That's when it's revealed that the person she is talking about is none other than Clay. He's sitting nearby eating his food and overhears their conversation. Clay introduces himself and says that Takeru is his friend. However, he is clearly angry that Takeru left town without telling him. Seeing Clay angry, Takeru gets nervous and apologizes. He explains that he did report to the guild, but forgot to inform Clay because he planned to be gone only for a short time. He says he is heading to the Ruhane mine to collect Idra ore. Clay warns him that his rank is too low to get a mining contract there. He also says that the place is extremely dangerous. Takeru replies that the reward will be worth it. Master Grusus promised to make Caesar tools for him if he completes the job. Takeru jokes that if Grusus is extra happy, he might even make him a cooking pot and a complete frying pan. Clay then says that if that's the case, he will go with them. He also needs to visit Voreal to get his spear repaired. Hearing this, Vel gets excited and says that Clay can also become Takeru's bodyguard. Clay agrees, and now both of them become Takeru's bodyguards. In the next scene, they reach the city entrance, but the line is extremely long. Since Clay is a special person, he quickly gets Takeru and Vel inside. The guard escorting them explains that Voreal originally started as a mining settlement built inside massive caves. He welcomes them to the Dwarf Kingdom. Takeru is shocked when he sees the city because the entire place is underground. The guard then tells Clay that the king wants to meet him. Takeru is surprised and asks if Clay knows the king. Clay replies that he does, but their relationship is complicated. The guard corrects him and says that it's not complicated at all. He calls Clay the hero who saved Thunder King Zangam. Takeru asks if that's true. Clay humbly says it's not that big of a deal. He explains that in the past, dwarfs could only do smithing and couldn't use weapons. Because of that, they had to pay tribute to the Demon King. But when the demon saw Clay leaving the place, he got scared and ran away. Whereas, the guard adds that to celebrate that day, they even built a statue. They see the statue, and it really exists, but it looks more like Godzilla than Clay. It doesn't resemble him at all. Clay gets angry and demands to know why such a statue was made. The king says that the statue looks amazing. Takeru then introduces himself properly and hands over a letter from Grusus. The king reads the letter. It is from Grusus, the representative of the blacksmith guild in Belkheim's commercial district. The letter requests permission for Takeru to enter the Ruhane mine. The king hesitates and explains that months ago, many demons moved into the mine, causing fear among the people. There are many powerful demons inside. He asks Takeru if he still wants to go. Takeru replies that he does. Clay steps in and assures the king that both he and Vel will accompany Takeru. Since they are skilled warriors, the king agrees. The king then asks them to investigate why so many demons have gathered in the Ruhane mine. Takeru is shocked and says that he came only to collect Idra ore, not to uncover demon secrets. But in the end, he has no choice but to accept the king's request. After that, they arrive at the mine entrance. There, they meet a man named Zumbo, the receptionist of the city's adventurer guild. He will guide them inside the mine. Once inside, the mine is extremely dark. Takeru uses light magic to illuminate the area and starts reading the map to figure out where they are. As they move further ahead, they realize that the ores here are only low level. Because of that, they decide to go even deeper into the mine. Suddenly, 2 spiders attack them. However, Clay and Vel work together and easily defeat the monsters. After going deeper, Takeru notices that the magical concentration in this area is extremely dense. Soon, they reach a path where there is no way forward. Even so, Takeru can sense that there is something beyond this wall. He asks Zumbo if he is allowed to do some mining here, and Zumbo agrees. Takeru tells everyone to step back. He then causes an explosion and breaks through the wall in front of them. Zumbo is shocked when he sees what lies beyond. There's an Indriite vein here, which is even rarer than Idra ore. Takiru scans it and learns that Indriite is actually a crystallized form of Idra ore. Just then, they realize that the demon living inside the cave is coming straight toward them. Seeing this, Takiru starts to get a little angry. He tells Vel and Clay to let him handle this demon because it is their prey. They soon discover that the demon is actually a massive crab. The moment Takiru and B see it, their mouths start watering because they both love the taste of crab. Vel and Clay are shocked to see that Takiru and B are thinking about eating it. The crab suddenly launches an attack. Vel warns them that this monster is A rank and they will need to fight it together. Clay agrees and prepares to battle. However, Takiru stops them and says that he will handle it alone. Takiru hardens his body and charges straight at the crab. At the same time, B uses its special sound ability to try to paralyze the crab. Takiru then swings his staff with full force and strikes the crab on the head, but it has no effect at all. The crab is far tougher than it looks. Still, Takiru refuses to give up. B uses its ice power to freeze the crab's leg, stopping it from moving. After scanning the monster, Takiru identifies its weak points. He attacks those precise spots and defeats the crab with ease. Everyone is left completely shocked. Clay then gets angry at Takiru and asks why he tried to fight such a monster alone. Takiru apologizes and says he got carried away. He explains that if they used weapons, blood would splash everywhere, and if the crab was injured in the wrong place, it wouldn't taste good. Clay sighs and says he understands that Takiru wanted to eat it, but he reminds him that he is his bodyguard. He tells Takiru that while he knows Takiru is strong and his magic is impressive, he wants him to stay calm in moments like this, trust his companions, and fight together. He assures him that neither he nor Vel will ignore Takiru's judgment, but they still want him to rely on them a little more. Takiru agrees and says he will be more careful next time. In the next scene, they collect all the mineral veins. However, Takiru can still feel a strong presence deeper ahead. He says that if they dig even further, they might find something even more incredible. Hearing this, Zumbo becomes so happy that he starts crying. He thanks Takiru for defeating the demon and gathering so many valuable minerals for them. While listening to all this, Takiru starts thinking to himself, in this world, earthquakes happen and monsters suddenly appear out of nowhere. Maybe this is the impact that God was talking about, the changes that would occur if he entered this world. Because of these changes, unexpected events are happening everywhere. His actions are clearly influencing many things. He hopes that his actions will bring positive changes to the people of this world. After leaving the mine, they go straight to meet the king. Takiru informs him that they have completed the job and also defeated the demon, so he can finally rest easy. Zumbo confirms this and tells the king that Takiru defeated such a powerful demon almost single-handedly. As proof, Takiru pulls the demon out of his bag. The king is deeply impressed and tells Takiru that he can ask for any reward he wants. Takiru thinks for a moment and says that if that's the case, he wants the crab. In the next scene, they are heading back. Vel says that they earned a lot of money by completing the job and that it was a great success. But Takiru has no interest in money at all. He is busy thinking about all the different dishes he can make using that crab. Later they learn that Vel asked the king for a white Pegasus as her reward, and it has now arrived. At the same time, Clay's spear has also been fully repaired. It is now time for Vel to leave. She explains that she needed the Pegasus for her sister and that she is going to deliver it to her. Saying this, she mounts the Pegasus and flies away. After that, Takiru and Clay return to the city. When they enter the guild, they meet Ariana. She is shocked to see both of them together and asks if they formed a party. Takiru quickly replies that they only teamed up temporarily to complete a mission. But Clay interrupts and says that while it's true they went on a mission together, they have officially formed a party. Hearing this, Ariana becomes extremely happy and says this is wonderful news. She immediately leaves to inform the guildmaster. Takiru turns to Clay and asks what he just did. Clay calmly replies that it's not a problem. He says that he doesn't really have a destination, and he knows Takiru is far from a normal person, so it would be better for him to stay by Takiru's side. Takiru thinks about it and realizes that forming a party with Clay isn't such a bad idea after all. In the final scene, after a long discussion, they decide to name their party the Azure Black Brigade. In the next scene, Takiru brings the Indriite to Grusus and tells him that he has brought exactly what he asked for. The moment Grusus and rebels see it, they are left completely stunned. They can't even speak. Oh, Seeing their reaction, Takeru starts wondering what went wrong. He thinks that high-purity indriite can be used to forge a sword, but since this indriite is extremely pure, maybe it's actually difficult to make a sword from it. But instead of being disappointed, Grusus and Rebel suddenly start crying. They say that this indriite is unbelievably pure, absolutely perfect. Grusus says that he is already 120 years old, but he has never seen so much indriite gathered in one place before. Seeing how happy they are, Takeru becomes really pleased as well. He smiles and says that at least all his hard work as a gatherer finally paid off. Rebel then tells Takeru that these stones are incredibly valuable and they don't have enough money to buy all of them from him. Takeru replies that he doesn't want money. He reminds them that he already told them he only wants the scissors. He says they can make those later. For now, he wants them to use these stones to forge a sword and win first prize at the exhibition. Grusus and Rebel agree and immediately begin preparing to forge the sword. Half a month later, we see Takeru and Clay sitting together, relaxing and enjoying their meal. Suddenly, Wade approaches them and tells Takeru that an important person wants to see him. Clay notices the crest on the letter and realizes that it belongs to House Lus Lavach, the ruling lord of Belkheim and the entire kingdom. Takeru starts feeling nervous. He wonders why the lord would suddenly call for him and worries that something might go wrong. Trying to avoid it, he makes an excuse and says that his stomach hurts and he can't go. Wade reassures him and says that Lord Bemament is a noble and kind person who won't trouble him. Hearing this, Takeru finally agrees and reads the letter. In it, Lord Bemament invites both Takeru and Clay to his residence for an important matter. Takeru panics again and wonders if the Lord is calling him because he wants B. Wade quickly denies this and says that the Lord is not that kind of person. Besides, he doesn't even have the authority to take B from him. In the next scene, they are taken to meet the Lord in a noble carriage. Everyone around them is shocked when they see the luxurious carriage and realizes that it belongs to the Lord. Seeing all the attention, Takeru wonders why everyone is so surprised. Clay explains that receiving an invitation from the Lord is every adventurer's dream. If a Lord decides to support you, your entire life changes. Even an ordinary adventurer can become a noble. Soon they arrive at their destination. A butler named Raymonds greets them and leads them inside. But just then, the Lord's daughter appears. When she sees B, she says that she expected the dragon to be a little more intelligent. But it doesn't matter. She says she will make do with it. She then turns to Takeru and tells him to hand over the dragon because it belongs to her now. Takeru immediately refuses. The girl is shocked that he didn't obey her. She argues that dragons are noble creatures and that she herself is a noble. She says the dragon suits her perfectly and demands that Takeru give it to her. Hearing this, Takeru checks her status. He learns that her name is Tiares, and she studies at a boarding school in the royal capital. She is currently home for the holidays. Takeru calmly asks her why she thinks the dragon should belong to her. She replies that Bernald told her about an adventurer who keeps a dragon, so she thought it was only natural that a dragon should belong to her. Bernald had told her that whenever she meets an agent-like adventurer, she should act in a completely royal manner so that the adventurer would follow her orders. Hearing this, Takeru starts thinking that this Bernald seems quite suspicious. He wonders who Bernald really is. Then Takeru tells her that he is sorry, but B is a part of his family, and he cannot give the dragon to her. After hearing this, Tiares becomes very sad. She says that she did not know the dragon was his bonded partner and apologizes for speaking to him in a rude way. Saying this, she starts crying. Seeing her like that, B tries to calm her down. Takeru then asks her why she wants a dragon so badly. She replies that she wants to show it to her mother and that it is very important to her. Just then, the Lord of Belkheim arrives. Seeing him, Takeru is surprised and thinks that he is very handsome and also quite young. In the next scene, they are sitting together with the Lord, and Takeru asks why they were called here. The Lord replies that he wants their help for his wife. Takeru asks what happened to his wife. Clay explains that the Lord's wife has been bedridden and sick for the past 6 months. The Lord then says that he heard about Takeru curing someone with a very serious illness, which proves how amazing his powers are. That is why he wants Takeru to use his powers to heal his wife. Takeru starts thinking that when he used his magic before, even Clay ended up evolving because of it. If he makes a mistake this time, he does not know what might happen to the Lord's wife. The Lord then explains that Tiares also wants a dragon because of her mother. In a few days, Tiares has to return to school, and she thought that once she leaves, her mother would feel very lonely. That is why she wanted to leave behind a cute creature so her mother would always stay happy. He says that Tiares may be naive, but her heart is very pure, and she is doing all this only for her mother. After hearing everything, Clay becomes emotional and starts crying as well. Seeing everyone like this, even Takeru cannot ignore their situation anymore. He finally agrees and asks them to show him where the Lord's wife is. After that, the Lord takes them to his wife. He tells her that he has brought Takeru, the person with mysterious powers who can cure any illness. He then asks Takeru to come forward, but Takeru first asks if they can make the room a little brighter. The Lord replies that his wife is sensitive to sunlight. Takeru says that it is fine. Takeru then scans the Lord's wife. He finds out that her name is Emeth and that she is suffering from multiple illnesses at the same time. Hearing this, the Lord asks if he can cure her. Takeru replies that he can treat the symptoms, such as her sensitivity to sunlight, joint pain, stomach pain, and dizziness. However, Takeru realizes that she is also suffering from ether poisoning, something he does not fully understand. He thinks that even if his magic cannot cure that, he can at least heal her other conditions, and that should be enough. Takeru tells the Lord that he is an unknown adventurer and asks if he is truly willing to trust once with his wife's life. Emeth then says that she will follow whatever decision her husband makes. She says that she is not expecting a miracle, but she just wants to be able to hold her daughter's hands once again. Saying this, she starts crying. Seeing her like that, the Lord becomes emotional as well. He tells Takeru that he trusts him and begs him to save his wife. Takeru agrees and prepares himself to begin her treatment. Seeing all this, Clay asks Takeru if he is going to use the same technique he used to heal his injuries. Takeru replies that no, that technique consumes a huge amount of internal mana, and the Lord's wife does not have that much mana inside her. He says the first thing they need to do is fix the darkness in this room. Takeru realizes that the Lord's wife is blind, so he carefully uses his healing magic and restores her eyesight. Now she is finally able to see everything again. After that, Takeru uses his cleaning magic to thoroughly clean the room and opens the window. Sunlight starts coming inside, but even then, nothing happens to the Lord's wife. This means she is no longer affected by sunlight. Seeing this, both the Lord and his wife become very happy. However, Takeru does not look satisfied. He asks the Lord to come with him to another room. Once they are alone, Takeru explains the truth about the Lord's wife. He tells him that she is suffering from ether poisoning, and that it is possible someone deliberately poisoned her. Hearing this, the Lord is completely shocked. Takeru then explains that he does not fully understand what ether poisoning is or how it works, which is why he cannot completely cure her. He asks the Lord if it is possible to obtain an antidote for this poison. The Lord replies that there is no antidote because ether poisoning was forbidden many years ago, and all antidotes were destroyed. Takeru says that if that is the case, they can create an antidote themselves. If they can obtain the original toxin, it should be possible to make one. The Lord says that he might be able to find information about it. He starts reading through many books and explains that his ancestors documented many things, so the poison should be mentioned somewhere. However, all these books are written in an ancient language, which makes them very difficult to read. Takeru has a skill that allows him to read ancient languages. Now he just needs to find which book contains information about the poison. He uses his search skill and quickly identifies the correct book. It turns out to be a diary written by a young girl. In it, she wrote about the ether flower, saying that she found it near a large stone shaped like a horse with a huge lake nearby. That is where she discovered the extremely rare ether flowers. Clay says that he knows this place. It is near a small village called Asith. The Lord replies that this location is outside their territory, and even if they travel by carriage, it would take 5 days to get there. Takeru says that in that case, they need to leave immediately. He goes outside and places a stone near the castle. This stone will guard the castle and keep the Lord's wife safe. Just as they are about to leave, Tiares comes running over and apologizes again for speaking to Takeru so rudely earlier. Takeru tells her that it is fine and that realizing her mistake on her own is a very good thing. He says she should be proud of herself. He then warns her that after he leaves, someone might try to tell her that he is a villain or that he is trying to deceive them. If anyone says such things, she should not believe them right away and should first tell her father. After that, Takeru and Clay leave on horseback. Takeru uses his power to increase the speed of their horses. After traveling for a long time, they finally reach the location. However, they find that the area has become barren. They can see the lake, but Clay says that the place would be very beautiful before. After scanning the area, Takeru realizes that the water in the lake is poisoned. Just then, some villagers arrive. They're frightened when they see them and ask what they're doing there. Takeru introduces himself and explains that they came from Belkime. As proof, they show their guild bands. Suddenly, one of the villagers becomes dizzy. Seeing this, Takeru understands that the villagers are not getting proper food. He asks them what happened here. The villagers then take them to the rest of the village. One of the villagers explains that 10 months ago, the lake suddenly became polluted. All the fish died, and even the well water became unusable. Because of this, they could not do anything. Then a merchant named Ngache appeared and saved the village. He said that if they gave him the shiny golden flower that grows near the lake, he would save them. That flower was a divine flower passed down through their village legends. Only the villagers knew where it grew. With no other option, they gave him one plant every month. In return, he gave them 60 barrels of water. But that amount was not enough for farming, and soon they started facing food shortages. After hearing this, Clay says that the divine flower might actually be the ether flower. The villager agrees. Takeru says that from everything they have heard, Ngache seems like a very bad person. The villagers refuse to believe this and say that he saved their village. Takeru asks them to think carefully. He points out that Ngache appeared exactly when the water became polluted. He also explains that when he checked the lake, he found it poisoned. And if someone demands a toxic plant every month, that is extremely suspicious. Hearing this, the villager is shocked. He did not know that the flower was poisonous. Takeru tells them that yes, Ngache deceived them. Hearing this, the villagers are stunned and ask what they should do now. Takeru thinks to himself that Ngache is truly cruel for tormenting this village, and he will not forgive him. Takeru asks Bai to use creation magic. B agrees and rises above the clouds using magic to make it rain. Seeing the rain, everyone becomes happy. After that, Takeru uses cleaning magic to purify the people and repair magic to fix their houses. He then prepares delicious food for everyone. The villager becomes extremely grateful and asks what they can give him in return. Takeru replies that he needs the ether flower to create an antidote. Just then, Ganja and the other children arrive and start playing with Takeru. They take him to their secret base, where they have stored Lidas fruit. When Takeru tastes it, he realizes it tastes just like soy sauce. The scene then shifts to Tiares, who hears an alarm and rushes toward her mother's room. She remembers that Takeru had placed an alarm there. If anyone with malicious intent tried to approach her mother, the alarm would activate. As she runs, she wonders who would want to harm her mother. When she arrives, she discovers that it is Bernald. She asks him if he is trying to kill her mother. Bernald replies by asking why he would do that. Tiares tells him that Takeru said the alarm would only activate if someone with bad intentions came near her mother's room. Bernald scoffs and says that Takeru is just an adventurer and asks why she is trusting his words. He claims that adventurers are greedy by nature and says that the alarm is nothing more than a trick Takeru is using to deceive her. She insists that this cannot be true and says that Takeru would never do something like that. Bernald then asks her who she is going to trust, an adventurer or him. He says that he is the one who has loyally served her family for a very long time. Just then, the Lord arrives as well. After hearing both sides, the Lord says that it is possible Takeru could be deceiving them, but it is also true that because of Takeru, his wife's condition has improved. His magic device is telling him that Bernald is a threat. He demands that Bernald prove his innocence. The Lord asks his butler to bring some water and tells Bernald to drink it. He says this is the same water Bernald gave to his wife. If Bernald is innocent, he should drink it. Bernald refuses. The Lord then throws the water in Bernald's face. Bernald panics and shouts that it is poison. At that moment, the Lord drinks the water himself and calmly says there is no need to worry because it is just normal water. He explains that it was only a trick to expose the truth. After that, the Lord orders his guards to arrest Bernald. The butler then brings a letter that was found among Bernald's belongings. The letter is written in an ancient language, so Tiares cannot read it. However, after reading it, the Lord is completely shocked. He says that whoever wrote this letter is no ordinary thug. This must be the work of a large organization. The scene then shifts back to the village. Ngache arrives to meet the village chief, but the chief is not there. Another villager asks why he has come. Ngache replies that he arrived early this time to collect the ether flowers and asks where the village chief is. The villager says that the chief went somewhere with a group of adventurers. He also says that he heard the flowers Ngache takes are poisonous and that they will no longer give them to him. Hearing this, Ngache immediately calls in his guards and orders them to attack. Meanwhile, the village chief leads Takeru and Clay to the place where the flowers grow. After scanning them, Takeru discovers that these flowers were born from the tears of a secret beast called Hopfall Fear. The chief explains that long ago, Hopfall Fear saved their ancestors from the lake demon that once ruled this land.